and welcome to the BetterU podcast, where we go in depth and get to listen to stories of hope, strength, and courage straight from some of the leading health, fitness, and wellness experts who help transform lives one person at a time. I'm your host, RKaye, and today, another solo episode for me, guys. Now, I've told you that for the next couple of weeks, I'll be sharing with you some of the well-known insights that I have experienced myself, and a lot of things that people should be becoming more well aware of in terms of the fitness industry and getting back into fitness, getting yourself to improve your health, if in case that is one of your goals. And yeah, speaking of goals, today we'll be talking a lot more about what it is that many people really relate to these days, and what really, I believe, from my own perspective, what really is it that gets people back into the journey of improving themselves. And one of those things would be when we see these fitness transformations, and it has grown quite to be an interesting topic of conversation for many. I believe probably because of the pandemic era that we all experienced, many people have been quite a lot more online. Many more people get to see, people from around the world. And that has been in everyone's eye since the pandemic started. And so it's been more than 2 years, or over 2 years, since that all transpired, but we are still quite, a lot of us are still online, and a good amount of us have seen, if not most of us have been able to see these different fitness transformations. And one of the things that I myself, as a fitness professional, have been really struggling with to get my thoughts on it is the fact that many believe or are quite trapped with the idea that you need to kind of enclose yourself into a world where you need to stress yourself over a transformation. And what I mean by that is a good number of people these days, when they are asked, or at least from my experience, when someone is asked when they want to change or they want the fitness journey to kind of get a head start, a lot, if not many, would always give themselves such a short amount of time to get to the changes that they want. There always seems to be an ultimatum. There always seems to be a deadline for many of these transformations. And to me, as a fitness professional, it can't be done. I mean, it's not a thing that's impossible to do. But in my own perspective, there's already so many stresses that we go through these days that you don't need to particularly include the changes that you want for your body to go through into that amount of stress. And giving you a quick example, myself included. Okay, so of course I have been competing for quite quite a good amount of years, and I have experienced it myself. I do have a coach, I work with a coach, and oftentimes we give ourselves such a deliberate ultimatum to, I from day one, I start like this, at this weight, at this level of strength, and on day 30, I want to be this. And quite frankly, there is a lot that you will need to put yourself into when you want such a quick timed change. And for me, one of the things that really, pops up in my head whenever I try to go back to the time that I've experienced this type of mindset. It is a very stressful kind of time. It was a very stressful type of way of living for me. During that time, I was still working in a commercial gym. It was not impossible for me to have a day where I would not train because I was already in that facility. But to me, if I compare it with other people who really want to get themselves into that zone where I need to change myself within 30 days, it can be done. But there are so many different factors that you need to consider as well. If you're, a mother, a father, the stresses of being a parent, the stresses of, providing for your children. And there are other factors as well. Stresses from work. There are deliberately many things that complicate the situation. And if you are indeed looking to change for the better, of course you will take the time. But with other factors in mind, there will be a chance for you to not really reach for those goals in mind at such a short period of time. That to me is one of the key concerns that I've been having for the past few years, with people thinking that it's so easy to transform, when the fact of the matter is it does take time, and the level of patience that people have these days it's gone deliberately short. And we've come to grow as a society where when we want something, snap of a finger, it has to be there. Otherwise, we're not dealing with it anymore. Which to me is very sad, because if it's a lifestyle change, particularly improving on your health and, developing a better level of fitness, it takes time. It doesn't, just for the fact that you need 30 days, right? It will never be something instantaneous that you will see a great amount of change from the day you started to the current day that you're in. Even I myself have come to realize that despite the many years of competing, despite training vigorously almost every day, there still is a chance for me to improve. There's still a lot more things that I need to improve on. And it is a continuous journey, everyone. It's not when you tell yourself from day 1 to day 30, that's all I want. It can't really you can maintain it. You can try to stay within that range or that level of health and fitness for as long as you can. But again, it is a continuous routine. It is a lifestyle change. And that to me is something that a lot more people really do need to focus more and look into. We tend to really be fascinated by the end result, the results that we truly look into, that we don't necessarily look at what is it that will take me from what I am now to the result or the goal that I want to reach. So it is like that. That's why I loosely and always use that term. It's a journey. It's so many paths that you can take, so many probabilities that you can look into, a lot of different options that you can choose from. And so it takes a good amount of time to really, hold on to the fact that, okay, I am wanting my fitness to be better. I am wanting these health conditions to, decrease, or at least for them to, for me to feel more alleviated from all these aches and pains, etc. It is something that you will have to continuously work on. And, as we mentioned, there are goals that we need to really focus on first before we reach to or get to the result that we, dream of. It's quite it's quite interesting to see that a lot more people who see many things online get to be inspired by these different transformations from many different people, and you see it all over. And the fact that you get to be inspired by it is all in all good. It gives you that opportunity to take that step forward and tell yourself that, okay, if this person did it, I can do it myself. But with that in mind, you have to, and this is very important for everyone, you have to always remind yourself as well that even if that person was able to transform themselves, you are different from that person. Your physical make, the way your body is made, is totally different from that person. Your experiences, your daily stresses, and all the other factors in your own life is different from the person that you just saw online who transformed themselves. You never know if that person is actually, just at home all the time and single, doesn't have any rightful stressors compared to yourself. I know it's an unfair it's an unfair comparison, but it still is there. You need to realize that what I am as well, what I can do to transform, will be very different from your own story. And as an example, let me just address it and tell you guys that what I was a few years back when I was still consistently training, this was pre-pandemic, what I could do in those 30 days to get myself ready for a competition, I wouldn't dare say I'd be able to replicate that these days, because number one, I'm at a different age. Number two, the stresses that I myself am currently experiencing is very different from the person that I was before the pandemic. And so this is me comparing myself to myself. And I know for a fact that the results that will take for the same exact program I used back then will not result in the same way that I am currently, okay? So that in itself, guys, is already, a little reminder for all of us that when it comes to the changes, the transformations, and the results that we want to look into, it won't necessarily be what we think of in our brains. There are so many different things that you have to look into before you get to that lovely, lovely goal, that lovely result that you're trying to reach for. Now, in terms of goal settings, if we go back to that, many of us would normally set that as a goal, okay? Now, I'm not saying that goal equal result is not a good thing. It can be a good thing for you because it's something that you will look forward to. What I'm saying is, in terms of setting your goals, you gotta make sure to do it one step at a time. And the best way really for anybody to set their goals up is to make shorter versions of it. So let's say, as an example, you do get or want to challenge yourself that after 30 days, I want my squat to be a lot more comfortable. So mobility wise, you want to be more mobile when you do your squat. And at the same time, you want to increase the weight of the squat compared to what you did initially. And so how do you do that in 30 days? Well, of course, each week you have to improve or add on to the weight that you're currently or that you just previously carried. And of course, include to that, you gotta have a lot of mobility drills for your hips, for your knees, for your ankles. Also, you wanna improve on your core muscles as well, because that will help you to increase your ability to do a better squat. And with these different mini goals in mind, you have to really look into those, because if you miss those other steps leading on to the end of and the result that you want after 30 days, what happens? You don't get the result that you want. And that's also one of the many things that gets people frustrated these days when they want to reach a goal or they want to get a result that they truly, truly want. Many people get sad, they get frustrated, they tell themselves, I did whatever it was that I thought would help me get to the result that I wanted, but I didn't get it. So what happened? Oftentimes, it just takes a tweak of getting every step done along the way. You have to ensure that your commitment is not just to the result at the end. It has to be your commitment to yourself. It has to be something that you are not just motivated to do because you got inspired by somebody else. It has to be a consistent, a committed, and a disciplined way of keeping to your own personal goals through training, through movement. And that, guys, is something that we really should always and constantly have to remind ourselves. When we want change to happen, it doesn't happen in a snap of a finger. it is never overnight. And we really should always take a step back, look at the bigger picture. If you want to turn back into your previous self where, you were 20, 30 pounds lighter, what was it? You have to realize, what was it that contributed to me gaining that 20, 30 pounds? And if you try to look at each of those factors in mind, you would have to equate that to the amount, or substantially it would have to be the same for you to reverse the change. So we all have to keep that in mind, guys. Like for me, my journey to become stronger, it didn't come to me in a year or two. It took me several years before I was confident enough to tell myself that, okay, if you put 100 kilograms in that bar, I'd be able to lift it. And it's the same for every one of us, whether it's a journey where you want to lose weight, it's a journey where you want to gain strength, or if you want to be leaner, muscular. It will always take a lot of time, a lot of dedication. And even that fact, if you put in the time, if you put in the dedication, if you forget to eat the right type of food, if you forget to sleep at least 7 to 8 hours a day, if you forget other self-care rituals or routines that you need to look at, there will still be other results that will instead take place other than what you were thinking. So again, guys, we got to look at every element in the equation. All right. I'm not much of a mathematician, guys, but all these different factors in our lives, whether we choose to admit it or not, are a very valuable asset for us to improve our lives, to improve our lifestyle, to make sure that we get to our best version, to make sure that we become healthier and better and ultimately our best version. All right. So guys, I'm sure that all the rambling I've been getting to just because of results and changes. I hope that you got a few little tips and little pieces of learning advice from me today, but that is pretty much what I have in mind. It's a little cluttered, I know, but ultimately, change is something that we all look forward to. Getting results, it's something that we love to experience, but are we willing to take the chance? Are we willing to give it 100% and not just 80% of the work to get to the result that we need? And that to me is something that we should always keep in mind, and we should always realistically look into. All right, guys, so Coach RKaye here. Thank you for joining me in today's BetterU podcast episode. Again, for the month of September, you'll be with me as I share with you some of my own experiences as a fitness professional and what things that I have been seeing the past few years in the fitness industry as it has grown a lot. And so I hope that I was able to share some meaningful pieces of learning for all of you today. And as always, if you want to get in touch with me and see all of my other work, you can check out all of the links in the description box below. Thank you guys again for joining me in today's episode. Coach RKaye here, signing off, but always reminding you to never give up on your movement journey because it's never too late to move. Bye-bye, guys. I'll see you again next week.